Let's
We
get it.
are back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
Pod
sir.
save the rivalry. Great time for sports. We've got NFL back. We've got the NBA coming back. MLB's in the playoffs. So figured we'd boot it up, talk about what is arguably the best division in the NBA,
Going back, oh yeah.
the Atlantic Division, in which all of our teams preside over.
Let's
Before
go.
but before we get to this year,
Nets
unfortunately,
dragging us down, man.
we may unfortunately have to talk a little bit about last year, give our Celtics fan a little chance to gloat. Celtics ran it in. Kurt, what do you have to say overall for the put a bow on the Celtics championship season before we put it in the rear view mirror forever?
Man, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Just really a culmination of the last few years, man. We kept pushing and we finally got there, and it feels great to be at the top. So now we fight to stay there. Let's go.
Yeah,
Mm.
might as well segue that into the Celtics preview. The Celtics, of course, the defending champions didn't really take a step back. They are the consensus top team in the league. The only real signing that I can think of, Bonnie Walker, is a sign. The team's going to look a little different, but we'll keep stick with Kurt here. What's the thoughts going into the season here for the Celtics?
So like you said, we really basically maintained our roster from last year. Re-signed Hauser, Tillman, Derek White. We brought in Nemias Kita. He was on the team last year, but on a two-way. Now he's on a full contract. He's gonna have an important role, taking some of the minutes Porzingis would play, especially early in the season. And I think he's a guy who's underrated and that you could see really stacking up a few double doubles throughout the early season here. Um, let's see what else. Another addition that I think you failed to mention, Kay, was Baylor Shireman, our rookie this year, who could have a little bit of a role. He's an older guy. I think he's 23, 24. Coming out of Creighton, who has a lot of skills, namely shooting the ball. So Celtics added another big wing who can shoot, which should terrify some people. Going into other stuff, let's see. Porzingis's injury, that's an interesting one to talk about going into the season. The timetable going in, it looked like about 5 to 7 months, and now they're saying no timetable, which normally makes you a little bit nervous. But they are also saying that they're surprised with how far he's come so far. So really, we don't know anything. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Um, I'm kind of alarmed about that, but like I said, Keita should help fill that role as well as Al Horford, of course, um, and Luke Cornett. Uh, let's see what else we got.
The difference with the team with Porzingis being there, you saw it in the finals. That was really did seem like they're missing link. Even though I'm not saying they won't be able to be really good without him, but he really adds an element to this team that I don't think can be overstated.
Yeah.
He certainly does offensively provide an option to space the floor better than anyone else on the roster, as well as just having the length of being a 7'3" center who can defend the rim. Um, so it's certainly a big thing to lose, but I think certainly if anyone has the depth to stem that injury, it's the Celtics. And I think 2 or 3 months into the season, we'll see Porzingis come back, and we won't have to worry. We'll still be sitting top 3 in the East minimum.
The win total for the Celtics, before I long shot way to bet them is 58.5. Let's hear from some of the other fans. Sam, what do you think 58.5 wins for the Celtics this year? Where do you think that what do you think of that number?
Ooh, I mean, I think it's pretty accurate. Might be just a little high because, like you mentioned, some of these injuries and question marks you have going into the season. But like, it's the Celtics in 2024. They run this division. They're going to be able to farm some pretty easy wins off of the Raptors, and I will admit, off of us, to be real. So I think they'll get very close to that. I think it's a good spot for that win total, but I might actually be tempted to take an under on that. I think it'll be just shy of that, perhaps, maybe like a 56 win type of season.
Where are you at with the 58.5 wins? Did we lose Ra?
I think also the under is I think a place for them because the Celtics last year, I just think everything just went too perfect. And like I think it's bound to be some regular season regression. I'm saying they could still win the title, but to me, I think they get around 57, 56. I think it's gonna be very close for the one seed for between them and the
Alexa
New York Knicks.
off.
Yeah. I'll I think I'm leaning to where you two are best, but just because 58.5, it's not much has to go wrong. I mean, they hit the number well last year, but that is a hard pace to handle. But also for futures, if the only reason you're betting an under is just like it can't go as well as it did last year, that will burn you sometimes because it definitely could with the Celtics. And I think my best way to bet the Celtics hitting their ceiling, because here's the thing, right? You're not going to get good value on them to win the title. You're not going to get good value on them to have the most wins in the league. But I think the way to sprinkle them hitting their ceiling is Joe Mazzulla to win Coach of the Year.
Wait. Can I
Yeah,
give my
yeah,
prediction on
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
record?
yeah.
Okay. Everyone else got their word in. So I saw the line was 58.5, and all of you guys are thinking under. I'm absolutely gonna smash the over on this. Maybe it's a bit of my hometown bias coming through, but like 64 and 18 last year. Last year, I think people don't remember all the injuries that we sustained throughout the year too. Tatum missed a fairly long stretch, so did
Guys
Brown.
were complaining about the luck of the Celtics last year. It's unreal.
And we have the depth. We even added more depth in Lonnie Walker, who I feel like is going to be an amazing scorer off the bench
Yeah.
for us.
I like Lonnie
Um,
Walker a lot.
so I mean, I did a projection for each of the Atlantic teams that we're going to go over. I do have this.
Hello?
Well, while we asked to get him back, yeah, I mean, I think Walker is going to be a really good addition to the Seas. So I definitely see, and like I was saying before, like I wouldn't say like I wouldn't stress people to hammer the under. Um, so
Oh,
Hmm.
you back? All right, you cut out there, like pretty. You were just saying that you project. What did you say you projected the Celtics win total like at?
I projected the win total at. I projected their record at.
Oh my,
Oh, how on clutch.
how on clutch. But like Kurt's going over, so while we fight to get him back, I'll say Missoula Coach of the Year, right? And the reason it
I
is,
think they could go over last year,
yeah,
especially with the added motivation of a couple of guys. Tatum not getting minutes on the Olympic team, Brown not even making the Olympic team. I think their motivation going into this year is underrated, especially now that they've gotten that monkey off their back and finally won this championship.
yeah. Listen, I would not say hammer the under. Like it's not something that because like Lonnie Walker really feels like a dude that can really pick up his career on the Celtics, really fit in the vibe of the team. But the Missoula bet, so one, it's very hard to give MVP to Tatum or Brown because they're both so good.
Yeah.
But it's if let's say the Celtics do, hit 64 wins again, it's going to look really weird if that team has no awards to show for that. Two, this is a future. What's the number one thing that we look that derails futures? Injuries. This is a bet that might even be boosted if the Celtics have injury issues and they still
And they
do
still do.
well.
Yeah, that makes a
Like
lot of sense.
Tatum, and this is a team too that has gone their record. I don't remember it off the top of my head without Tatum. It's very good. It's very good without Porzingis. It's very good without Brown. So it's just preventing yourself from an injury derailing a future, which it probably would if you had Celtics most wins. And I mean, going back to back, keeping them hungry in a division that got better. I think he should be the favorite. And also his quotes. His quotes are badass. His quotes are very memorable. I really like this way. I don't think there's any other way you could get value out of the Celtics hitting their ceiling from a betting perspective other than that. So we about to move on to the Knicks. Any parting
Just to
thoughts on the season?
yeah, yeah, just to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
I really did think it was kind of bizarre last year how Missoula was just like not mentioned in the coach of the year
Yeah,
discussion.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Being a first year coach on the best team in the league, like
Yeah.
it takes a lot
I
to
think
live
he
up
was
to
a second year
expectation
coach.
there, and he
Yeah.
did.
And if he
Um,
brings them back, then yeah.
Especially with the coaching
But
controversy that you guys were coming off of a couple of years before. Like it was really good of him to be able to
That's
pull that locker room together.
exactly.
that,
They were able to fill in the gap with Missoula seamlessly, going from Ime to him. And
Yeah.
I feel like the thing is, I could see him getting snubbed again just because of all the talent that is on
talent
the team.
team. Yeah.
I feel like Coach of the Year has kind of become the sort of award
the
this
overachieving
goes to the
team.
most surprising team. Or
Yeah. But here's a co-favorite of coach of the year though. Is a lot of people's trendy pick is the Houston Rockets coach, who was the coach of the Rockets. Are people really going to give it to Ime over Missoula? Like that's another thing. So what
No.
if the Rockets do overachieve and then they're staring at that
I
decision?
hope not, man.
Like that's like I mean like so I just
I
think that
could see the Rockets overachieving, but I feel like you just have to give it to Missoula one of these years if the Celtics,
Yeah.
continue playing at their ceiling
and
and being the
Popovich.
best team in the league.
Yeah,
You know,
Popovich won 4 Coach of the Years. Wow, and I kind of see a similarity with like not a lot of controversy on the team, and just getting it to the coach, even though they're expected to be good with their talent. But yeah, we gotta move on. So thank God we didn't do this video when we originally planned, because the analysis would have been toast. Because the Knicks made the biggest trade they've made maybe ever, um, very recently and now the entire conversation around the team changes. So the Knicks win total, I believe, is 53 and a half. I am going to start by saying I think this is a team that is more focused on the playoffs than ever. And I think I don't think Tibbs is going to put pedal to the metal and try to play these guys. Like I think he's gonna rest some guys for the playoffs. So the number actually scares me a little bit because for the first time, but I'm not really concerned with how the Knicks finish in the regular season. all of it's about the playoffs for me. Um, but I mean, we've got to talk about the specifics of the trade. Carl Anthony Towns comes to the Knicks for Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. Essentially, there was a bunch of other stuff going on, but that was the key part of the deal. Pat gives the Knicks, spacing,
Mhm.
a shooting big man that we've never had. He kind of combines the best of Randle and the best of Dante um, into kind of one player. The pick and roll with him and Brunson is going to be insane. Also bringing in Mikal Bridges, so Cat doesn't. Yeah, like, there are definitely going to be a lot of lineups, and unfortunately, like we have to hide Brunson defensively, and Cat has improved a lot on his defense, and I don't think is a necessarily a liability, but is not on the caliber of those other guys. But I mean, this is the first time ever too that in our lives that the Knicks and the Celtics are duking it out, potentially for the top of the division, which is a lot of why we did this. So I think the win total is good. They'll get around 50, but like I don't think they'll do what they did last year where they like pedal to the metal to get the 2 seed or something like that. So I'm a little more nervous about their win total. What do you think?
I think it's good. We're gonna get the over because I just think this is a team that I don't really think Tim's gonna change his coaching style that much, and I think that we just have a team that I think should is one of the elite teams, and I think it's gonna be a battle for that division with the Celtics this year. I don't think the Celtics like run away with it as they did um last year. And again, we have the depth is a little bit worse than last year, but I still think overall we are a better team. So I say the Knicks get around like 55.
Yeah, it was a ceiling trade for sure. No doubt about that. I don't think the depth, like, it shows they believe a lot in Miles McBride, right? To facilitate. I also like Kolek a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
Cole too, and also Pacom Dowdier. I think they really believe in this draft as they should. Kolek and Dowdier look very good in summer league, especially Kolek. But like
yeah,
we thought Paco Dowdier was like a long term thing to get in the NBA, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got in the rotation this year, especially if injuries happen. So I think a lot of the reason was because like we believe in our draft to contribute pretty much immediately, especially Kolek. Tyler Kolek, I think is the guy who, especially early on, his assist props, I think is going to be a good bet.
yeah, I like that. I do want to segue a little to the because there was another major trade the Knicks made that involved our good friend Sam's favorite team as well. Sam, I want to talk to me about the Mikal Bridges from the Nets perspective and what that trade was your reaction to that and yeah, from the Nets perspective, what about the Mikal trade?
Well, it was very interesting initially when we broke up the big three. A lot of emotions, a lot to take in, and taking Mikal Bridges out of all of that. I mean, I wasn't sure what direction the team wanted to take with him, but they evidently he lived up to his name. He was a bridge player, and we're electing to go for the rebuild here. Got four first round picks, I believe, from
Yeah.
the Knicks for him. Yeah, I'm very happy with that myself. This basically, we wave the white flag on the immediate season, I think, with this type of move. But we're really gearing up for a rebuild, and not just any rebuild, but the best kind where you don't even have to tank because you don't control your own picks. We've got Knicks picks, we've got Phoenix Suns picks coming down the pipeline. So ultimately, I mean, this is a move for the future. I'm pretty happy with it, but it's still going to be tough sledding for a very young now Nets team going into 2024 without that sort of anchor presence that Bridges provided to help tie the starting lineup together.
Yeah, so Cam Thomas, right, is obviously I mean expected to take a huge scoring role. Um I people are kind of just assuming that he's going to average 25 a game or 23 a game, like just because. I kind of see a situation where like, or when people do say that, right? Like, well, somebody has to score the ball. It kind of reminds me of what people were saying about, say, like Jordan Poole last year. People like, do you think that with basically what I'm asking with Cam Thomas, long-winded question is, do you think that with the increase in volume, do you think his efficiency will decrease, or do you think that he will be a true, turn out to be a true like 25 a night guy?
I'm certainly a believer that with the opportunity, he can actually be at least like a 20 a night guy.
Yeah,
I think, I mean, inevitably you'll see some efficiency decrease if you just keep feeding him and feeding him. But I
yeah,
think we have underrated parts of our game with our young sort of big man core. We just paid Claxton. I really liked our pick from last year, Noah Clowney. I think he's
yeah.
showing a lot of promise.
Yeah, I really like
So
Clowney too.
we're all very high on Clowney. In fact, well, one way that we were kind of looking to, there are not many Clowney props, but one of the long shots that we were talking about with the Nets is him to like lead the league in blocks or something because he really
Hmm.
does seem to
We
know
were
it.
talking most improved too, I know.
Yeah, most improved too. Him and Clowney could do that. The way this is not a I'll say what you think about this. The Nets, I think it's like 12 to 1 or 10 to 1 to just make the play in. This might be a ceiling play for the Nets, but do you see any way that it comes together and they can, like scrape the 10 seed?
12 to 1, man, I would take that just to make the play in. I
Yeah,
mean, we were the 11th seed last year, and sure, we lost Bridges, but I some of these teams in the East are hella weak, man. I think
that's
we can,
yeah,
especially against like the Raptors in this division, and I think we can farm at least a decent amount of wins. I think we could get back to 11 for sure. Now 10's a little interesting, but just 12 to 1 odds. I would
yeah,
definitely take a flyer on that. I think it's possible. I really do think it's possible if we get chemistry with this young core, maybe make a move. I mean, I don't know. I guess it just depends on how our season's sitting as we get towards the deadline.
yeah.
But if the Nets were like off to a hot start, I could see us trying to bring in a piece, and then you'd have a good shot at the 10 seed. I don't know who that piece would be necessarily, but I'm just kind of talking hypothetically.
There have been
But
Jimmy Butler rumors.
yeah, could be. I mean,
So
I'm
the
just hung up on the 12 to 1. If you said like 4 to 1, I'd be like, nah, don't take it. But 12 to 1, I mean,
yeah,
I would take a shot on it.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys the best chance of net success, and you guys aren't gonna like it, but the best chance of net success is Ben Simmons is fully healthy and plays the whole season and re-breaks out. That's the best chance for success, and I feel like that's what would need to happen for them to reach a play-in game.
he's been on the off season grind again. The yearly Ben Simmons workout videos have been dropping. So well, I mean, is there any hope with Ben Simmons? Have you completely given up, Sam?
Just about. I mean, he's teased in the last couple of years. He's gone on streaks, right? I remember, I think it was 2021 or something, 22 maybe, where like he had less than 10 points for 10 games in a row, then got over 10 for like 10 games in a row. So he shows flashes of what he used to be, but the problem is he just can't seem to hold it down consistently anymore. And uh, it's just every time I look at that contract, I get a sickening feeling. We're in such a bad cap situation, and it's really just because of him. It's I don't know. This is hopefully the last year we'll have to ride out the failed experiment with him, but I think there is like a slight chance that maybe because of volume needs that he gets fed a bit more, but he'd have to re-earn that trust. And right now he doesn't have it from me, and I doubt he has it from the coaching
He
staff.
He doesn't have it from anyone. That's the thing. But
Yeah,
we did see that there is talent there at one point. He was an all-star, like
Yeah,
in the NBA, and that's without shooting a jump shot. Like,
yeah, yeah.
um,
I like almost like I kind of forgot they had uh
the
Simmons,
one
but
thing, the one thing I do want to get into about the Nets, I saw their projected win total. I don't know if you talked about this already. Well,
I
my
have
thing
not.
was glitching out, but they're projected 18 and a half wins this
Yeah,
year,
I think
which
I'll go over.
I'm
I'm
going over for
slamming the
sure.
over on that too. They
you
were
have to take
32
that.
and 50 last year. They lost Mikal Bridges, sure,
Mhm.
but like I said, maybe Ben Simmons back. At the very least, that helps you a bit. You hand over the reins to Cam Thomas. You hand over the reins to Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton, and I think they have at least 24, 25 wins in them. At very least.
Yeah, I
18 and a
think
half feels disrespectful.
yeah,
For
I don't
sure.
think like the Wizards are I think worse than them for sure. Uh, and now I
Pistons still might be like,
yeah, like the Hornets. I don't know. There's some like I don't
and
know
there's always a
some
couple of
hype
teams
around the
that
Hornets.
just get drilled by injuries that you
Yeah,
never know.
that's also true. Like I mean the Grizzlies last year, but like I think so we're all taking the over on the Nets. What's now the Sixers win total? It's right around there with the Knicks. It's 52 and between 52 and 53 and a half, depending on the book. Most of them have it at 52. Caesars is the only one with 53 and a half.
Mhm.
Um, where I mean, they are the clear big number three, or member of the big three. Not only did they get Paul George, Maxi broke out, and they had some underrated. They got to get rid of Tobias Harris, which is definitely addition by subtraction. Picking up some solid depth pieces like Caleb Martin. Um, so the
Can
question I
I can
have
I
though,
just expand on that real quick?
yeah,
I just want to Andre Drummond, another underrated addition, Eric
yeah.
Gordon, Reggie Jackson, and from France, another one that kind of went under the radar a little bit, Gershon Yabusele, the former
Yep.
Celtic, who showed out in the Olympics. So that could be an interesting X factor for him.
Yeah, those were good additions. So do we think that like
The
it's
Mets.
if that the Atlantic Division could have all three teams hit their win total? Do we think that all these teams basically are going to live up to expectations? Usually when you have a big three going like in a division like this, one of them doesn't, but I think they all will be fighting for those 1, 2, and 3 seed. Like I'm gonna take the over with the Sixers. Before, I don't, and I know, I get the concerns. I get it. But I think they made a lot of depth moves, and we're not betting on the postseason Sixers. We're betting on the regular season Sixers for their win total. I'm gonna take the over.
They've been that great in the regular season these last couple years either. Like I just think it's under. Like the thing about it is the Sixers have always tried to get like superstars to play with Joel Embiid. It hasn't really resulted in like Paul George doesn't move the needle really for me. Obviously, he's an upgrade over what they had, but like he's probably still like Tyrese Maxey could overpass him this year, and that would probably be the better outcome for the future of the Sixers. But I'm not a big believer in the Sixers this year. As the Brewers just went back to back on the Mets.
Yeah,
Damn. I'm absolutely with Ra here though. I have the under on the Sixers as well. I have them at about 50 wins.
mhm.
There are just a lot of questions. We don't know how PG is exactly going to mesh with these guys. And like you said, there are a lot of new guys, so we don't know how the
Yeah,
entire team is going to come together. Um, and then the biggest question for me is just can they stay healthy? We've seen time and time again from Embiid. We've had injuries from PG as well, some big ones. So it's going to be interesting to see. They certainly have the talent to stack up with the Knicks and the Celtics. but there's just enough question marks for me to go under on that line.
Sam, what do you think about that line?
I would have to agree with the under there. I just think this division is too competitive, and I think the Sixers are going to be the odd one out. Really, just going off what Kurt said, I think the injury concerns and the age of some of these players too. Uh, I think it's going to limit their availability. They're going to drop some games that they otherwise would have won if they could have stayed healthy. I think, of course, they definitely will be a playoff team, but yeah, I just think they're going to struggle to be like a full season marathon, not sprint type of team. Probably hit an ugly streak at some point and fall short of that. What was it, 53? 53 for Caesars, 52. I would take the under either way. I think they'll be
Yeah.
just around the 50 mark, 49, 50 or so.
Yeah, and I see that. Part of that was playing devil's advocate, but my long shot with the Sixers is Tyrese Maxey, clutch player of the year. You can get this at like 25 to 1. And this is a guy who, listen, we saw him take a big leap last year, right? So we know he's not afraid to take big shots. And again, injuries to Joel or Paul George could make him have to take big shots more. So again, if you're investing a future in the Sixers, the big things you want to worry about are PG and Joel going down. This is a way to invest in the Sixers, where if that happens, we might actually get a boost. And this might come off seeing him how he performed against the Knicks, but that's my long shot way of sprinkling them. I do think Nick Nurse too is a very good coach, so that's another reason why I leaned over there. And then the last team,
Bye, baby.
he is. He's
Him
very
and Kyle Lowry, man, they just love flopping and crying.
I kind of was like hoping the Knicks might make a pass at Lowry, like get the real Nova boys together, because he's so annoying to play against.
Oh man, he's the worst. Just taking charges, flopping around. Like,
Yeah. So
but him and Nick Nurse are the perfect combo for each
they
other. So
are. They are. Uh, so we're running a little low on time. I want to do get in the Raptors here because we have the 40-minute timer and it's like 5 minutes left. But their win total is over 30. I know Rory, you've been high on this team for a while.
I haven't.
So we know what direction you're leading in, but tell us why you're high on Raptors.
I am very high on the Raptors because I just think like one, RJ Barrett, I think a full year as like the guy in his hometown. I think he's gonna have a really good season. He did really good in Toronto. He felt more comfortable there, him and IQ. And I just really like Scotty Barnes. I really like the vibe. This kind of a vibe thing. But I really like the Raptors this year. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if even they made the playoffs. Like, um, because I just like what they have going on. And now you don't have Jonte Porter betting on games.
Chucking balls off the dude. That 1-3 that he made, that like banked in, and he was like stone faced. That was so funny. Kurt, what do you think of 30.5 wins? Do you share Rory's optimism for the Raptors?
I do not share Rory's optimism for the Raptors. I can see the vision, it's there, but there's just so much that needs to happen. Last year, 27 and 45 on the year. I don't see any big additions. The biggest thing I see is Davion Mitchell, who's a good young player, great defensive player, but still developing on offense big time. And they lost Gary Trent Jr., Jalen McDaniels, both guys who played reasonable minutes for them. The vision for the over, like I said, it's there, but you need these guys, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Manuel quickly, to all take that leap. And I just don't know if I see it happening. Like Grady Dick, too, is another guy who needs to take that step up. He didn't show much his rookie year.
Necessarily. I mean, he was an all-star.
Yeah. So Sam, what are
But
you?
still, I feel if he is going to be the number one player on
Yeah,
eventually a contender, or I mean, like you said, potentially a playoff team this year, he needs to still take a step up.
yeah. Where are you at, Sam?
Oh man, I think having the Nets at 18 and a half and the Raptors at 30 and a half is straight up rude. I think these are teams that are in very similar situations, actually. I think they'll both be in that sort of 11 to 10 seed pocket. They are both in situations where I think they've got a lot of great, young, promising depth type pieces, but are just lacking a true anchor to build this team around and center in. So I think they'll be close to their win total, but I am taking the under. I think yeah, I think like 28, 29 is gonna be
Completely.
yeah, right around where they're at. And I think the Nets will be right around there too. I think the Nets will easily clear theirs. Raptors are gonna come up just short of theirs is my prediction on that.
So Sam, I don't know the odds of this off the top of my head. So first, I'll say my long shot on for the Raptors is Emmanuel Quickly, most improved player. His stats ballooned when he went to the Raptors, and so this was a dude who, like, you look at his stats last year, he was 15 and like 5, but on the Raptors he was 18 and 6. He does this for a full season, and again, you're this is a ceiling play, and the Raptors take a leap. He might be the most improved player on the most improved team, and again, people think that he's a 15 and 5 guy. I think the Atlantic Division people have always seen what Quickly can do. But so that's my long
Quickly's
shot. You
fast.
can get it at like 30 to 1. But Sam, I know if there was a bet, because you could definitely do head-to-head team records. I know you might be interested in doing a little Nets to finish ahead of the Raptors. If those the odds are juicy enough for that, I know that could be a way for Nets fans at least to root for their team to like finish fourth.
Yeah, I mean, I you take what you can get, take what keeps you invested. I think there's a real possibility of it. I really do.
Yeah.
Um, that's certainly not guaranteed, but I think it's a lot closer to being 50-50 than those
And I
win
mean,
totals
because
might lead you to
the
believe.
implied odds are like 3 or 4 to 1 if the win total was 10 and it's different. But we're about to
Yeah,
run out of time. Thank you boys for previewing the division, and
Yes.
we'll run a draft back maybe another episode. Uh,
yeah.